Sorry about that. I hope nobody really left on just because my computer decided to crash. Starting to get again worried that I'm having hardware problems. I don't want to have to rebuild another computer. So yeah, my computer completely crashed, and I'm restarting everything right now. I'm wondering how much did I lose? Okay, I'm back in my chat room and bringing up my dashboard. Okay. I hope that doesn't happen again. I didn't crash it, that's for sure. And let's see, was it just building that caused it to crash? I don't know. Let's just hope that nothing got lost. Okay, so let's run our tests again. Check, check, check. I hope my mic is working on all of that. How come I don't see my OBS window? Oh, I must have hit it. Okay, so it's still running though. All right. All right. Don't crash on me again, computer. I might have to go buy a new hard drive if it crashes again. Set everything back up. I really hope I don't have to do that. Okay, why did that not load? Cannot be loaded. It's missing. Okay, well, that's what CMake is for, right? So remove the build directory, make the build directory, cd build directory, cmake Visual Studio x64. And set the startup project. Okay. It's gonna have to rebuild everything. But I don't have a whole lot, so it's okay. Where were we in terms of this test that crashed? A test that didn't work. 223, that's where I was. Right, I was gonna step through that and see why that failed. So step in and don't crash this time, computer. Oh, I think I forgot to set the complete. That's probably what it is. So if it gets all the way through and it's parsed completely, I need to set the complete state. Yeah, so request state equals state come on, IntelliSense. Help me out here. Oh, I guess I have to say your request state complete. There we go. Is that it? Is that what caused my computer to crash? Or it's just not setting that state? Just kidding. Okay, we're down to just 3 tests failing. Invalid request no method comes up as complete. Okay, so that's on 276. Oh, I think I know why. It's back up here, right? Parse request line. It comes up as recoverable and then continues, right? I think this used to return something. Oh yeah, it has to grab the rest of the message. So we really shouldn't set it as complete. We'll have it assume it's complete unless we learn otherwise. So like innocent unless proven guilty. And that broke a lot of things. Huh. Oh, yeah, so everywhere where it's incomplete, we have to actually say so. Recoverable. No, it's not that it's not complete. So it's still in the headers if it's incomplete in the headers, right? Yeah. And probably it's the same thing for body, right? Here. Only it's waiting for the body. And then similar thing for the request line, right? If there's no request line, if it hasn't exceeded the limit, but we just haven't seen the end of it yet, it's in the request line state. Okay, there we go. So let's check that in. Server refactoring. Description of this. So sort of merged concepts of request validity and state. There are now 6 states. 3 representing incomplete requests and 3 complete. 1 valid, 2 invalid. I think that's probably good enough to explain that. So now let's do the next step of refactoring, which is to turn this parse request into an iterative thing. So it is try request assembly. Rather than passing, actually no, this is the, yeah. Instead of making a new request each time, it should try to keep building on the previous request. So that's connections state next request, right? If the next request is not complete, return null. Correct. Otherwise, we'll say const auto request equals that next request, and then next request is a new one to get prepared for the next request, right? So HTTP server actually, why am I saying HTTP server? I'm already within that scope. I can abbreviate a little bit. I can just say request. Yes, so I think that's right. So it's gonna basically. Oh, hold on. We should pull off. We should move that to there. So it's going to keep passing in the reassembly buffer to try to keep trying to assemble the next request, and anything that's actually well, it's not message end anymore, right? It's next raw request part. Oh no, it's a count. So it's I guess we can still call it message end. Well, not message end. It's really characters parsed, right? Characters accepted. Any characters that are accepted into the request are then removed from the front of the reassembly buffer. And we return early if it's not complete yet. And if it is complete, we take it off and form a new request for the next one and return that last request. So in this try request assembly, it's whenever we receive new data, right? So we're still going to append to the reassembly buffer every time. Right, so this parse request just needs to skip things that's already done. So we don't want to parse a request line unless we're in the request line state. And so we can no longer do this thing where we assume it's complete at first. We'll have to say if request state equals the state request line, right? And we don't need to do this anymore. This is going to be count the number of characters incorporated into the request object. If we successfully parse the request, we're going to move to the next state. So next we'll have if we're in the header state, then we will continue parsing. Right? I guess request line end, we can just use message end for that, right? So it means we don't need headers offset. We just need to make message end equal to that. We want to do that if the request line is actually grabbed. There we go. So if we're parsing headers, do this. Yeah, so if it's complete, we're going to move to the next state, right? Which is body. We don't need to, we're already in the header state, so we don't need to set it. So if we really only need to do the checking of the host field once, right? So we can do this in here. Right, so we assume that we're in the body state, but then we done with parsing headers. Next will be body. And then we do checking of the headers once the headers are complete. That way we can exit early, we can abort early if, before we even read the body. But actually, for this recoverable, we kind of want to skip the body, don't we? We're going to run into interesting problems. I think I know what I want to do. So if we're in the recoverables, this is a problematic state because if we're in the recoverable state, we need to skip to the end of the message. I guess we can't really make that part of our state because we have to progress through all the states. We should just make a flag called well, we can just have a no. We can just have a flag called valid, and if it's false, then we'll continue parsing. We need this state though. This is an end state. Yeah, there are really two end states, right? It's complete, and then it's either valid or not. And the other end state would be it's unrecoverable. Or how about we'll call it error? Error. And we'll just say very briefly, in this state, the connection from which the request was constructed should be closed, either for security reasons or because, yeah, okay, so error. So complete will be the request is fully constructed. And we won't mention validity checks because validity checks, valid will move to another flag. Assume it's valid to begin with. This flag indicates whether or not the request has passed all validity checks. Innocent or valid until proven invalid. So our tests need to be changed a bit. So invalid recoverable turns into false that the request is valid. And it's complete, but it's complete otherwise. Okay, so these are the unrecoverable states. So these are a bit simpler. It's just that it is error. Message end doesn't matter. The error state will just close. This is compile still? I wonder if I lost my last capture, by the way. I mean, I'm just looking at my Twitch recordings. Okay, did lose it. Oh well. Oh, well that stinks. At least Twitch probably kept a copy of it. Yeah, my computer crashed earlier. I lost my local recording of everything for the last 2 hours. Anyway. Okay, so things change a bit here. Complete. This is really just whoop. Really just folded this to error. Right? Oh, this is not validity anymore. It's state. Okay. Okay, so we don't really need is complete, do we? It's really that the state is complete. So back here, do we use it at all? No. Or actually, I need to remove its. I'm gonna remove this. No. Okay, it's still. I guess we only used incomplete. Is complete within the implementation. So if request state is not request state complete. All right, here we. Oh, there's one down here. Okay, so if it's complete. If it is. Oh, hold on. I think we do need is complete, don't we? Because yeah, sorry. Error is also an incomplete state. I mean, error is a complete state. So I need to undo all the checking for is complete. We need all that still. It's so error is another possible complete. So the complete really isn't a good word, is it? Or really, I should say is one of these names has to change to make it better, to make it non-ambiguous. I guess I'll change this word. It's not that it's fully constructed. It's not that it's fully constructed. It's that the request is either fully constructed or is invalid. But the connection from which the request was constructed can remain open to accept more another request. Yeah. So instead of it being complete, it's that struggling for words. I guess I'll leave this complete and I'll just change this is complete to is complete or error. Just a superset of the other two. But the request has been fully... Yeah. Fully constructed, not or... well, yeah. Basically. Is complete or error. I think it would be better to say if it's complete or error, return it. Otherwise, return null. I think maybe that reads better. This one became error, right? Okay, so let's read this through. Unrecoverable became error. That's recoverable. Unrecoverable, unrecoverable. Right, so did I forget to remove that state? Oh, that was from headers. So it becomes it goes to body, but the valid bit is cleared. If it's invalid but recoverable header error. Let me make sure that this does what I expect. It needs to go to the end regardless. Oh, it's not going to, is it? We're gonna have to fix that up because this needs to first advance the offset. It has to set this body offset before it returns. Otherwise, we can't skip it. Body offset's only set when it's valid and complete. So this is gonna be a problem. I think I'll save that for another stream though. So let me make a note for that. My OneNote was closed, so open it again. Take a look. Okay, so need to handle header parsing return of need to seek end of body. It's gonna have the same it's gonna have to have the same changes as the parsing of the whole request. We'll have to be able to do it iteratively. So yeah, message headers will need to have a valid flag. It will just keep parsing, and only when we get to the end, we'll check that valid flag, and we won't have this invalid recoverable state for the message headers. But for now, we'll just we can't really do that. So what we'll do is we'll just make it an error for now. Until we can support it properly. Okay, so body offset. Not even defined. Well, where is it defined? Oh, it's defined up here. I guess we can move that out there, right? And what is it set to? It is... Oh, I see. So really we just advance message end by body offset. And we would do this only if we parse stuff, right? Only if we don't return. Actually, we would do it regardless. Yeah, so this is move this stuff around. So first, const auto header parsing. What does it say? It returns a validity, right? Right. Header is validity. Then advance the body by the body offset. This we can do at any time. We make a new one. Well, I guess it doesn't hurt to do it every time. And then switch on header's validity. Valid but complete. We move on to the body and check that. Yep. Incomplete. We just return early, right? Recoverable. Or unrecoverable. It's an error we return. So yeah. What did we say? Finally extract the body. So that part of the comment goes there. Only if the request state equals request state body. Okay, so here's that final state where we can move it to done. But we're not going to change the valid bit, which is important. Oh, hold on. I don't think we actually have any other way to return invalid, right? Yeah, they're all either errors or we're continuing. Let's see where we stand with the compiling and then testing. Compiled, that's a good sign. How about testing? Failed a lot of our tests, so that kind of not surprises me. Let's see. Feels bad, man. We'll fix it in a second. So that's interesting. The simple test fails too. Probably something I obviously did wrong that we'll see right away. Make a new request, right? And then parse it. All right, we're in the request line. It should find it. Should parse it correctly, so we go to the header state. Second, we're in the header state. We go from 25. Valid and complete. So we go to 141. Check the host. Example.com, yep. It all matches. State is body, right? Yep. So, oh, hold on. What body offset was larger? Did we have two variables called body offset? Oh, we don't use body offset anymore. It should just be message end. Yeah, yeah. So this should be message end. That's just a plus equals. And don't need to do anything there. All right, good, 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 good. Still failing that parse get request. Interesting. So message ends 141, right? So no bytes for the body. Does not have a content length. Oh, this is another case where it's complete, right? It has no content. That's what it was. So all the messages that had no body or no content were not being showing up as complete. Okay, so now we're down to just 5. Request no method, no target, bad protocol. Those are all having to do with the request line. So how are they failing? They're coming back as complete instead of error. Okay. So line 276. This guy. Yeah, so parse requests should come back with that error. Oh, error, and then it's okay. It's not that it's error. It's it got their line. It just didn't parse correctly. So it should go to the header state regardless. And it's valid if it parsed correctly. So request valid equals that. Yeah. Down to 2. So invalid damaged header and client invalid request recoverable. These might have to do with how we're parsing incrementally, or we're not parsing headers incrementally correctly. 321. Okay, it has to, yeah, so it's I guess for now we'll just change this test. We'll say since we don't support parsing to the end if we run into a problem with the headers, we'll just say that that's error. And what was the other one? 677. Oh, I think this is because it's the same kind of thing. So we should have got a bad request. What did we get? 677. Oh, assume that it's not broken. Yeah, so we will change our assumption for now. Only a temporary assumption. I probably do have time to fix incremental message header parsing. But we'll check this in as it is. Oh, I had a change in web server. I forgot to push that one. Okay, so this is server refactoring. Actually, this isn't server refactoring. This is implementing server. Implement incremental parsing. request parsing. Parse requests in, or support parsing requests in pieces. Everything is now supported for no, not, this is a bad way of saying it. This change doesn't handle, I'll say, recovering from invalid but recoverable header parsing isn't handled yet. Commit. Oh, I closed that. I didn't mean to close it. Push that, and I just want to make sure. Okay, so we have no other changes pending, so I guess I'll bite the bullet and go and change these back, because that shouldn't break it. And we probably want to make a test where we do recover. Probably by making another request, right? Yeah, so let's make this requests. And we'll have expected response says. Right? And we'll, in order to, we'll expect 404 not found after the bad request. And basically we'll try to recover it by adding a colon back where it should, right? So this test is going to fail because it's going to break our connection pretty much after this first request. It won't even match the expected request, and the connection will have broken. And then the other change, I think, was back here. That's where we had that combination there, damaged header. So this damaged header should be complete. But not valid. And then we want the message end to be the length of the raw request, right? Basically that it finds its way to the end there, even though it had ran into a parsing error there. And that's going to fail, but before we can fix the code for that, we need to fix the code in the message headers library. So let's go to that. I want to check to see if I already have tests to cover these cases. So suppose we could pick one of these. Oh, too long. Actually, we can search for recoverable. Invalid recoverable. Right, so this is one that should be rejected. My mouse is acting up. This is one where the line should be rejected, but it should still be able to parse to the end there. So yeah, what we want it to say, not that the message end is 0, but the message end should be the raw message length. And I think we can do away with this validity, right? I guess no, we still need it. Yeah, because we have, yeah. Actually, I think the validity will move into the message header. So it's either complete, incomplete, or error. Complete, incomplete, error. Headers are good and the end has been found. Yeah, headers are bad and it's possible to parse filters and staging. Yeah. And headers are bad and no further parsing of input should not be allowed for security reasons or because it wouldn't be possible to find a valid continuation point. Just leaving our options open. So that's going to break a lot because we renamed a bunch of things. So validity valid complete. Actually, I want to introduce the valid flag while we're here. Oh, so message headers had an inner class called header name. And header. Okay. I forgot about that. Oh, this was a class? Okay, so I need an accessor. Parse raw message, get all has. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna back up because since it is a class, I don't really need to change the interface so much as just hold this as a state inside. So yeah, that's what I'll do. So message headers source. Right, so in addition to the actual headers and the line length limit, we'll have validity. We'll just start it out at incomplete. This indicates whether whether or not the headers have been fully constructed, or if there was an error in constructing them. All right, and so we'll just adjust this code so that in addition to returning that it's unrecoverable, we're going to set its validity to that as well. These are where we just reject the stream outright. We bail. Okay, so here's where I was hoping to get. So here, we don't return. We just say that it's recoverable. We probably want to have a check just right at the beginning. If validity equals complete, if it's complete or it's an error, or actually basically if it's not incomplete, we don't want to continue. Oh, wait a minute. That means I do need a flag, don't I? Because this is not a complete. Yeah. All right. Let me revisit these states again. Valid, complete, valid, incomplete, invalid. I guess I need a third state. Invalid, incomplete. Headers are bad, but it may be able to parse valid headers instead. Headers are bad. We are still looking for the end of the headers. I keep vacillating between trying to capture validity in here versus completeness. I guess I should pull the completeness out, really. What did I do for server response? Request state. Oh, that was in the header. Right, it was either complete or error. Should I just model it after that? Probably should. Complete or error. And if it's complete, it's either valid or not. Yeah. I don't need any incremental. Actually, I do. I need incomplete, complete, and error. So it's incomplete, which we start in. Headers are good. And the end of the headers was found. Headers are bad. Actually, we're not saying it's good. Headers are. We ran out of not ran out of data. Headers are either partially complete. No. My mouse is fighting me. Ran out of data early. Try parsing. How about, I don't like the sentence, ran out of data early. End of headers not yet found. Oh, we'll just say that. End of headers found. And then this is just error. Unrecoverable error. Uncoverable error. Reject input. There we go. So it's modeled after the request state, which I think makes more sense. And then we'll just have the getter for valid. Set line name. Okay, so bool is valid. This method returns an indication of whether or not the headers constructed so far have been valid, have all been valid. So it's kind of like the valid flag from the request structure. So it goes here. And we'll just return a, whoops. Turn the flag. So it's no longer validity, is it? These are the different, so it's really state again. Yeah, that makes more sense. Whoop. Okay. So whoa, my mouse acting up. Validity valid complete becomes state complete. And then in addition to being complete, we want to assert true headers dot is valid. Everywhere where we check that it's complete, we need to also check that it's valid. There's a lot of places we check it's valid, isn't it? Oh, I guess I already had one there. Oh, because it wrapped around. Okay. Fine. Okay, here it's error, isn't it? Probably in a few other places too. Wait a minute. Here. And we're just not going to care about the end of the message if it's an error. Yes, so validity incomplete becomes state incomplete. You know what we should do here is include the size thing. Because for a single line, we don't want to eat the line, right? So size t message end. And then assert equals 0. And here we do want it to advanced. So it's incomplete, but it's not truncated. So how many characters is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Complete. And it should be 2. And then for all these other ones, I think we don't really need to check the message end again. We just need to make sure that it's always advances past the new line. We could do a little bit of something else, not part of the message. Right? We can do that. Since we're testing for that it ends there. Maybe we can do it one more time. Yeah, so let's do that. So let's say something else not part of the message. Here we can use that string so that it's the raw message length. Right? Invalid recoverable means it's complete, but not valid. Yeah, okay. So this is going to fail some tests. Actually, it's not even going to build. What did I do wrong? Lots of errors. Oh, probably in server hasn't been updated. Oh, yeah. This is now state. I didn't update any of this stuff, did I? Oh, I thought I made a... I thought I made a flag for valid. What happened? I think I got this backwards. I don't need to store the state. I just need to store the validity. And assume it's valid until it's not. This indicates whether or not all validity checks have passed for the headers. Oh, hold on. I think I have to have both because we need to return it out. Oh, no, I don't. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? It's late. It's after midnight. I'm not thinking clearly. Okay, so parse raw message doesn't return validity, returns state. And we don't need this check I was about to write and we don't need that at all. Valid is false, and we return state error in that case, right? Whoa. How did I get there? Yes, so it's valid and there's an error in those cases. Here, it's valid is false, but it's not an error. In fact, we don't return. It's simply not valid. If we, yeah, here it's not complete, so it's state incomplete. Here again, state incomplete. State complete. May or may not be valid, right? And that's state. Alrighty. Oh, I forgot to do this one. So it's either complete, incomplete, or error, right? Complete. No, why do it? Why shout, right? Except for error, we kind of want to shout out our errors. Oh, what happened here? I don't know. Must have cut those lines wrong. Okay, yeah, so in server, here's where we need to fix this up. So it's header state, not validity. If it's complete, we're done. If it's incomplete, we just return early. If it's an error, it's just down here. Okay, here's where it's a little tricky. Okay, so it's complete, but it might be invalid. Right? If basically if it's not valid, we want to clear our own validity. How do we set that? Oh yeah, request state. Well, hold on. Right, request valid. We don't want to set it to true. We're only clearing the flag. If it's not valid, yeah, okay. Let's see if we get further. Okay, client is having trouble. Oh, client has the same kind of state machine, right? So it doesn't have iterative parsing though, so it's going to do it in one shot. So it's either complete or it's not complete, or it's an error, right? So this is somewhat different. If response headers, if it's not valid, return null pointer. Fail, in other words. If it's incomplete, stop fighting me, mouse. Return null. If it's an error, return null. Yeah. Actually, this is just telling me that in any other state, return null. But I think I'll leave the cases there just to be explicit about it. Oh, okay, so everything's passing now except for one thing in client. Client invalid request recoverable. 687. Oh, we should, yeah, I forgot to run the message headers tests, though. We need to run those first. Okay, so that's probably why the other tests don't work. So single line not truncated is failing. Oh, I think I know why. So 199. It's supposed to advance message, and I think I forgot to do that. It's on this right here, I think. it's supposed to set body offset to offset. And might as well do this, right? Get value of present header. Ooh. Bad message length for one of these things. 227. Interesting. Oh, yeah, because I never passed it. I never set it. There we go. So those tests are passing. How about HTTP test? That one's still failing. Dang it. 687. Okay, so we expect to get a 400 and a 404. We got two 404s in a row. This first one should have given a 400 though. I guess we can step through it and see. So I'm gonna just put a breakpoint in this parse request. And that has the whole sequence of messages. So it's going to parse the request line, and it's going to have a problem with, that's going to be valid, but it's going to have a problem with the headers, right? Valid false, right? False, but it will look for the body. Oh, you know what? These shouldn't be errors. Those should just be make it invalid. Ooh. Okay, no, that's fine. Return message end. So the reassembly buffer should have the second request in it. It looks like it does. Oh, okay. So yeah. It's not that it's complete. It's got to be complete and valid. Yes. Then we process it 404 for everything, but it's still good. If it's not valid, it's bad. So the one thing I noticed that is still a problem is we're being too harsh in some of these things, like where the host isn't matching. It shouldn't be an error. It should just be a bad request. So not close the connection. So where do we test that? Host not matching, yeah. So let's put that. Well, hold on. Before I should probably check stuff in before I fix that other bug. Oh, what am I using? Get GUI? I'm supposed to be using the new thing. The new thing is cool. Okay, so I just need to change my repository. Okay, so separate. Oh, support add support for incremental parsing. To do this, separate validity from parsing state. That way, parsing can continue, but the message headers can remember whether or not any validity checks failed. Commit, right? Yes. Oh, I'm in such a bad habit now to do git GUI. When I'm trying to switch over to this GitHub desktop. Okay. Right, this was basically allow requests with bad headers to be recoverable. As in, allow a connection to stay around even if a request with bad message headers was encountered. So I'm going to fix up that one bug I saw and then kind of wrap up the stream and continue on Friday. I'm just checking right now to see if I missed any check-ins to any other repos. Okay, looking good. So yeah, this test here is, these are invalid requests, but they shouldn't cause a connection to be disconnected. So I will assert false that connection broke. And same pretty message here. So I expect these to fail, and then we'll fix them. Yep. So let's fix it. So we just need to not be so harsh here if these hosts don't match. So we will, let's see, I guess we don't need to change, we don't change the state, we just mark the request as not valid. Right? That should be enough. Yep. So relax. Let me write the description first. If host header doesn't match target or server, allow the connection to remain, but still mark the request as invalid. I guess relax reactions to a bad host header. Or really it's bad host header or target host. And let me do a final check, not a final check, but one little check to see if there are other error states that we can maybe relax. So, okay, we exceed the line limit. We need to be strict about that. And we'll pass through an error in headers as well. The content length is not valid. we have to bail because we won't be able to find how big the body really is. If it's beyond the max content length, also we need to bail it. Oh, hi FX, how are you doing? And let's see, yeah, and then the only other place is if there is an error from a request, we break the connection. Yeah, so actually we're been pretty good. So we're in good state. For the heck of it, let's run our web server and see if it's still working. Debug web server, right? It's up and running, so let me pull our client back in. And local host 8080. Right now it's gonna always spawn with 404, but we can see the request showing up there. Cool. And Control C should quit it. Great. Fellow VS user, yeah. I'm actually using two different VSs, Visual Studio itself, and for some things I'm using VS Code. I'm really happy about a lot of the things that are in VS Code. One thing is is stuff like this, where you can pick a word and hit Control Shift L, and then it replaces in multiple places. I love that. But I also like all the various plugins, especially that. I love that I can preview Markdown. Studio is still all around good because it's got IntelliSense and the debugger and all that stuff. If only they could add all the extensions that are in VS Code into Studio, that would be great. So yeah, unfortunately, I've been streaming for 3.5 hours now, and I need to wrap up soon. But I'll be back on Friday. Let me go over a little bit what I did and what I'm planning to do next. So I've been streaming for 20 streams now, and you can actually see the history in my OneNote notebook, which is there's a link below. And we did all of this, what I would call fixes and improvements to our core web server class. We added code to detect memory leaks, which is actually a pretty, I think, a nifty little thing that looks like this. So I talked about that at the beginning of the stream. If you're interested in that, feel free to go back and check that out. And we did a bunch of error checking and state checking for closing connections, and spent about an hour and a half improving the efficiency of our parsing, like building requests iteratively instead of retrying. Yeah, right on. Yeah, I'm trying to keep to my schedule, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Pacific to around midnight or a little bit over. And I stream a bit more on the weekends. So I just did the recap. So let me give a little bit of a big picture view of what I've done and what I'm going to do. So spent, if I open this up a little bit more, I can't really open it anymore. We spent the first half of the streams building on classes to parse URIs, did a little bit of Unicode, did a little bit of network level stuff, and then the last 3 or 4 streams we've been working on the actual web server. And my plans, well, we're already on the short-term plans on my roadmap, which is to deploy a live web server with static content. This should say content, actually. And after we get that running, we're going to add stuff like WebSockets and plugins to it. But in the longer term is I want to make a Twitch bot, because I'm on Twitch, and also make a WordPress-like site. And pull in some encryption, because every website should be secure these days, right? So that we got the web server core down pretty well makes me think I want to add configuration to the server next, which is what I planned to do like 2 streams ago. I was going to add a JSON reader writer so like we can have a config file for our web server. So I'll probably do that next stream. Next stream will be dedicated to writing a JSON reader writer in C++. Studying MVC, cool. Yeah, my mic, I've been working on that. I got this dynamic mic. It sounds good now because all the kids are asleep, but earlier there's a lot of noise. So let's see, what else can I say about this? All this code is in C++ right now, but once we have a web server up and running, I also want to start making web apps in JavaScript React. So that'll probably be around, if I had to guess, stream 40 or 50, so maybe a month or two from now. So we'll be continuing on our web server on Friday doing JSON parsing and generation. So I hope to see you then. Background noise is unavailable at times. You don't know any C++, mostly deal with C#. Actually, someone was telling me about 2 different streamers. I don't know if they're on now, but maybe I'll just shout out. I looked at their streams back when they were recommended, and they were pretty good. Let's see if I can find where they were mentioned. I actually want to go back and add them to my list. Okay, so Nibbles.io and Cyanox apparently are 2 guys who also do C++. So Nibbles.io does a whole bunch of different programming things, and he actually has a face cam, which I can't have because I'm not allowed to. And Cyanox is doing stuff on Linux. So actually, if one of those guys is on now, I'll probably host them, even though they don't know who I am. Let me bring up my how do I view without, oh, I guess I can just look. So looking to see if one of these guys is on right now. I should like, okay, Nibbles.io is not on. Cyanox is also not on. Oh well. Well, at least those are 2 guys I could give a shout out to if you ever see them on. They look pretty cool. You'd love to know C++, such a fundamental language. Yeah, by the way, sorry if I'm taking a while to get to chat. But yeah, come back on Friday. Next time I'm streaming, I'll be doing C++ for sure. And feel free to ask any questions. Yeah, sorry I'm finishing up now and you just got here. But it's getting kind of late where I am. So yeah. I'll be filling in a retrospective later if you want to check back on my OneNote. And before I stream on Friday, I'll set up my plan for stream 21. So I guess that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you back. It'll be 2 days from now. So I hate to leave you guys hanging. And I don't know if anyone else is out there that I could host. No one's, I don't know anyone who's online. Anybody have someone to recommend for hosting? Let me know now. Otherwise, I'll just leave you guys to go browse or go elsewhere. Have a good night, FX. Yeah, all the guys I follow are mostly in US time zone, so they're all asleep by now, probably. Oh well. Catch you guys later. Have a good one.